to the exciting episode of Codename New to Vero 2. I'm your presenter, Shabu RU. Our foot is slammed on the accelerator as we go into part 3 of the Silent Options storyline. And wow, Larry Hama is on fire. I have to be honest with you, I'm going to preview not just this, but actually the next issue, number 259. Yeah, that's right, 259. And I'm going to do that next week. But just to preview, you're going to see a lot of old Joe favorites make cameos and special appearances. And I'm talking about, the vintage era that we haven't seen in comics for a long, long time in their version 1 outfit. So stay tuned for that next week. But right now, the Silent Options story is phenomenal. We left off with Helix falling down while she was strapped with explosives and being thrown out of a helicopter by lead human trafficker Eliza Buckman. Now, she's falling on top of the oil rig where the Joe team is at. So if she lands, she's going to blow up the rig and the entire team. I mean, if the Joe team shoot her, she's going to die and explode up safely, one casualty. But you know how the Joe team is. It's all or nothing. So we're going to see what happens in that. It is amazing. And what's interesting is also, I haven't really showcased it, but there's a backstory to Helix at the end of each Silent Options episode. I'm going to save that for another episode and cover that entirely. It's really interesting because you're seeing a character be developed from beginning to end by, Larry Hama's input. But he's not writing this. It's another group of writers. But again, you're seeing how Larry Hama is taking this character and how these guys are creating a backstory at the same time. And I think it's kind of cool because there's no toys except for that post-video game that, that's become popular with modern collectors. And it's a modern character. So it's kind of cool to see how what could be if G.I. Joe will pick up or continue. I know there's big news of Hasbro looking for a executive director to head up G.I. Joe. So apply for that. I don't know. I mean, hey, maybe I should apply. Now, anyway, but here we go with part 3 of Silent Options. I feel like a broken record, but we begin this and every episode looking at the cover variants. Again, I picked out cover B done by Kenneth Lowe, and he's the illustrator for the Helix backstory. And again, there's 3 covers. I liked cover B and also the one by S.L. Gallant, the cover for the RI. I think that's wonderful. So like I said, we start off over the North Sea with Helix falling back down to Earth. She has been tied up, strapped with explosives, and tossed out of the copter by kingpin human trafficker Eliza Buckman during her escape from the Joe team. Again, our team consists of the 2 Snake Eyes, Torpedo, Alpine, and Bomb Strike as point. A good mix of old and modern. This story is the first to team the 2 Snake Eyes replacements together, and so far they're blending as well as the old Snake and Storm Shadow in their prime. They're complementing each other really well. Ironically, neither is called Snake Eyes, except Sean in the presence of bad guys, and that's to hide that the OG died and passed away. Otherwise, he's referred to as Throwdown, his normal name, and Dawn is simply called Dawn. This panel is kind of cheesy because everyone screams the recap that happened up until this point. Helix is seen trying to escape her bindings. Showcasing Houdini-like escape artistry, she works off the ropes and uses her teeth like a freaking beaver to rip apart and break the bindings. I mean, this is actually amazing. Doing this in midair while descending to the earth, that requires, a lot of skill. Just then, the explosives go off. But still, she is falling back down to earth at a rapid rate. The Joe team is looking on in horror. They know she's heading straight for the rig. Quickly, Torpedo is the one that jumps into action, leaping off the rig in midair and does a tackle. So he jumps out, tackles her, just to get that separation from the rig to make them hit into the open water. You would think that Helix would be delighted her team has come to her rescue, but she snaps at Torpedo. "Don't touch me!" So far in the Silent Option story, we know that Helix is one messed up lady. She has had a terrible past, so the reader, as well as the Joe team, is very understanding to this. Just be glad she's on our side, because she's as lethal as OG Snake Eyes was. The killer whale, shipwreck, and cutter make cameo appearances as they board the killer whale, and just then an explosive goes off on the oil rig. Dawn Marino tries to talk to Helix. If anyone can relate with a messed up childhood, it would be her. She was part of the Cobra Youth and a trained assassin. She later on became Cobra Commander's bodyguard at the age of 14. That's insane. So you have these two girls and you think they would bond, but Helix is not saying a word. All of a sudden she whips out this memory stick she was able to pull from Elisa Buckman, and this supposed has some details on her operation. Shipwreck and Cutter take our team to the USS Flag for debrief. Isn't it nice to see our beloved Flag still patrolling the high seas? On deck, Admiral Keelhaul commends the team for their efforts. They hand the memory stick over to Mainframe for decryption. Again, Helix is alone, and Dawn again tries to make another attempt to connect with her. And we segue to a flashback of Helix as a child, and how it was tough for her to connect with the kids. We also see her mother explain to her that it's okay, you're a special young girl, and I'm going to teach you a secret, ways that you could protect yourself and look after yourself. I wanted to pause here for a second because we're simultaneously going through her backstory in another episode, and I'm going to show how this is kind of like conflicting to what we're being led to in that backstory that I'm going to feature in a future episode about Helix's origins. But her mom supposedly is this top of the line dojo, and she explains to Helix that, you know, her sensei helped her in the projects, and the thing that he has to do is honor her teachings and pass them down. And this is something that Helix takes close to heart. And she goes to the training with great eagerness. Meanwhile, back on deck, for a brief second it looks like that Dawn and Helix are connecting, but she flips the script and she gets mad at herself. She's like, I've dishonored my mom because there was 2 rules of honoring the sensei and pass on her teachings. And that every day that goes by, she feels like she's let those kids down by not saving them from the situation they're stuck in. Now, they rejoin the team as Mainframe comes and discusses that they have been successfully able to decrypt the memory stick. Mainframe indicates the data had 3 levels of decryption and he was able to access 1. In that one, he discovered that a shipment from Darklonia is scheduled to land in Newark, New Jersey. They think the kids are part of the cargo, so Keelhaul orders bomb strike to take Dawn and Helix to intercept. Ace loads them up and is going to drop them off at Newark Airport. Immediately, the security comes and Helix is like, listen, we're doing this whether you like it or not, so get the F out of our way. They approach the cargo ship, and something doesn't seem right. There's no kids there. And then they realize that, something is up. And then Helix is the one that points out, get the hell out of here. This is a trap. Boom, an explosion takes place. And our 3 Joes are blown, out to safety. Just in the nick of time. They realize that this was a setup to take them away from where they really needed to go. Now, we're next outside of Helix's foster parents' house when none other than the saboteur, Firefly, and Elisa Buckman are there ready to go after Helix's foster parents. What is Elisa Buckman's endgame? What is Firefly doing? Will Helix and the Joe team make it back to save them? We'll find out in part 4 of the Silent Options storyline.